Hi everybody, my name is Josie Violet. Welcome back to my channel. This is Josie Violet Knits. Thank you so much for joining me. Today thought I would take you through some of my spring knitting plans. I feel like in winter I kind of overloaded my plans and it was just not realistic the amount that I thought I was going to get done in winter. So some of these plans are carrying through from winter, so you might have heard me talk about a few of them before, but I'm going to start with any of the new ones that I haven't mentioned before, that are kind of new plans that have popped into my head recently that I'm super excited about. And then there's a few whips that will lurk in the background I'm going to bring back out for spring, and then there's a few plans that I have the yarn for, but it's just been sort of sitting waiting for me to finally finish my wavelength cardigan, which is what's been kind of holding up a few of my plans lately. I've been doing this test knit and it has been taking up a lot of time, but I'm finally getting there with that. So I'm starting to get excited about having new plans and having new things that I can start knitting again. The first thing I have planned, which I'm very excited about because it is my first ever self-drafted idea that I feel like I'm actually going to do. I've had a few different ideas in the past for things I wanted to self-draft, but I felt like I was maybe a little bit too new to knitting at that point and I just sort of overwhelmed myself and overthought it. And so I think this is the first self-drafted thing that I feel good about and I feel like I can actually achieve, because it is just a scarf, a triangle scarf, and it is using this yarn that I got from Unravelled Festival. If you watch my Unravelled vlog, you would have seen me talk about this. This is the Zakami cashmere yarn. I have the tag here. It is 70% baby alpaca, 20% silk and 10% cashmere. It is fingering weight and it comes in 400 meters, and this is hand-dyed yarn, hand-dyed in Edinburgh, and it is in the shade Tea and Honey, and it is just this lovely shade that really does remind me of sort of milky tea with honey in it. And then I also won, and this is what kind of inspired what I'm going to hopefully be knitting, I won a little mini skein of this yarn, and I was able, they had like a little raffle where you could pick out these little pieces of paper, and on a piece of paper it said that I'd won a free skein. So I saw these two and I was like, it just sparked something in my brain, and so I had an idea to knit a scarf, kind of a small-ish triangle scarf in waffle stitch, and I've knit a little swatch, and the idea I had was to do a little I-cord around the edge in the in the mini skein, because the mini skein is quite small, so there's probably not too much else that you could do with it. I mean, I guess you could do some kind of colour work, but yeah, so that just kind of sparked this idea, and I think it kind of looks like a burnt waffle, so I'm going to call this my burnt waffle scarf. And what I did in order to get the I-cord to go all around the edge, I've only obviously done it with a swatch at the moment, I haven't actually knit the scarf itself, but I bound off with an I-cord bind off, and then I continued in extension of the corner, and then I picked up, and then I just continued the I-cord going around the edge. I picked up a few different ways. On one edge I did it where I just picked up as I went, and then on another edge I did it where I picked up all the stitches on a DPN before I started, and then I sort of picked up the I-cord from the needle that I'd already picked up, if that makes sense. And I think I like the version where you pick up ahead of time, because I found that when I was just picking up as I went, it got a little bit wobbly and a little bit strange on one corner. So it was good to kind of just experiment with a few different ways to do this. And I saw a video from Roxanne Richardson, which was how I figured out how to do this I-cord all around the edge. I'll link that video down below if you're interested. But yeah, so my plan is I need to kind of figure out how to do the increases with the waffle pattern, but I have done that before in something that I've knitted, which is my waffle loop sweater dress. It had increases in the waffle stitch pattern, so it's all kind of things I've done before, so I feel quite comfortable that I'll be able to do it. All I need to do now is just figure out how big I want the scarf to be. It will also depend on how much yarn I have. I guess I'll just keep going with the increases until I've finished, because I'll be able to just kind of get an idea of how much yarn I have left. So I think that's what I'm going to do. And yeah, I'm quite excited. The idea for this one was also just because I don't really know if I'm like a small scarf person, but I'm also not a big scarf person. So I kind of wanted a scarf that could keep me warm in the spring because it is still really cold outside. But something that could keep me warm, but also not just be like huge, because I do have a few shop bought scarves that are like these massive big chunky things, but they're just too hot to wear in the spring. So I kind of wanted something that was middle ground. And yeah, this yarn is just so soft, and I was just really inspired by the yarn itself to knit a scarf, because having something that has cashmere in it around your neck is always going to be really nice. And with the waffle pattern, obviously it's in fingering weight yarn, so it's they're quite small waffles. But I am really enjoying how it's looking and how it's feeling. I just love waffle stitch. This is a swatch here that I did for my waffle loop sweater a while ago, so you can see the difference in size of the two waffles. So these are pretty small waffles, and also the hand dyed darker yarn kind of has these like little it has these little lighter or more orangey bits on it, and I just love how it looks. And yeah, it just looks like a burnt waffle. So this is going to be my burnt waffle scarf. I want to cast this on quite soon. I just need to finish my wavelength cardigan, which is taking me so long, but I am now on the final sleeve of my wavelength cardigan, so that should hopefully be, I'm just really hyped about this. So I'm hoping that this can be one of the next things that I cast on as we head into spring, and it won't be too huge, so I'm hoping it won't take me that long, but we'll see. Obviously, as this is self-drafted, there's a lot of question marks, and I'll probably mess up at some point since it is self-drafted, and it'll probably be a bit of trial and error. But yeah, so I'm very excited about that. The next thing is also related to a yarn that I got and unraveled from Zakami, so clearly these yarns are inspiring me quite a lot, which is nice. This is 100% brushed Suri alpaca, and it's fingering weight and 400 meters again. I got two of these. These were on discount. I have rolled them both up, which is encouraging me more to use them. And for this one, I'm kind of halfway through a swatch, so sorry, it's not very anything at the moment. I want to do something with an open gauge with this. I like the ranunculus as an idea, but I know that I just don't get on with circular yokes. And so I've kind of been maybe thinking about self-drafting a top as well, which is obviously going to be a bit more of a challenge than the scarf, and I'm sure there'll be a lot more hurdles along the way with figuring this one out. But I really want to do something, a t-shirt with an open gauge, maybe a little bit of lace or something along the yoke, similar to the ranunculus, but I want to do it as a European shoulder. So this is my little plan of what I want to do with this. The working title is the vitamin D tea. I wanted something to wear when the sun has finally started coming out, but it's not quite warm enough to actually just wear like a normal t-shirt or a vest top. So you need something a little bit to keep you warm, but also you're lacking in vitamin D because it's been winter the whole time. So you can kind of see where the inspiration for this one came. I want to do potentially a European shoulder, or some kind of drop shoulder, which could also be a European shoulder. And I want to do it with open gauge. So that is my little idea. And I've done this swatch on 6mm needles for this one. And I haven't quite finished this swatch, so I'm going to finish the swatch and see what I think. I might want to go down to a 5.5 or even a 5mm potentially, because I want it to be open gauge, but I don't want it to be so open that it just feels like you're naked. So I think there's like a fine line between the two of those, so we'll see. I'm just going to swatch a few different needle sizes and see which one I prefer. And it is so soft, it is so nice to work with, and self-drafting something is quite new to me, so again, this might take me a little while, but I just couldn't find a pattern that was exactly what I wanted, that was an open gauge, but just kind of a plain drop shouldered t-shirt that's quite wide but cropped. And yeah, I just couldn't find anything that had the exact same elements that I was looking for. Maybe like some kind of design on the yoke. I only have 2 balls of this, which equals 800 meters, which is not much. So it's gonna probably have to be quite cropped, I think. And I think having the bigger needles will help because you're knitting more fabric faster. So I think that will mean that you have to use less meters, if that makes sense. So I think sticking to the big needles is a good idea since I only have 800 meters. And I do want it to be kind of like positive easy. I don't want it to be a tight t-shirt, so we'll see. It's all a bit of an experiment, and I feel like because I bought these yarns at the festival with no clear plan in mind, I feel like that's actually kind of opened up my brain to thinking of some self-drafted ideas, which I don't normally get because usually when I'm buying yarn it is for a very specific pattern. So I'm not thinking of other ideas or like self-drafted ideas. So it's been kind of nice to have a bit more flexibility with having some yarn on my shelf that does not have a plan behind it. So yeah, I'm excited to try a few of these self-drafted ideas this spring. We will see how they go. Some other yarn that has been sitting on my shelf for far too long and has been kind of waiting for spring is this Drops Belle that I got in the colour 03. And it's just a very nice creamy white colour, which I just think will be perfect for a summer t-shirt. And I really want to do, I think I initially bought this for the lacy loop tee by Other Loops, which I love. It's quite boxy, oversized. I just think it would be so perfect to wear in spring and in summer as well. But if you have any other ideas for t-shirts that are this kind of cotton, linen, viscose blend yarn, let me know. I would be all ears. I do love the lacy loop tee, but any other sort of boxy t-shirt that would use a Drops Belle, let me know if you have any ideas, because I always love to hear your ideas. You always have such great ideas for patterns when I can't think of something. So let me know, because I have a lot of this on my shelf and I want to get through it at some point this spring. So at the moment it's the lacy loops tee, but yeah, let me know if you have any other ideas. Okay, so those are all the plans of things that I haven't spoken to you about before. Let's get into some of the lingering whips / plans. The first one is my seashore skirt by Kurta. This I started knitting, I think it was last summer, or kind of, I was knitting it quite a lot in September last year when I went to Sydney. That was where I did the bulk of this, and it is such a fun pattern to knit. It's quite like, after a while you can learn the repeat off the top of your head, so then you can just keep going and going. This is knit with Knitting for Olive pure silk in the shade Copper, and this has been, you can see it's quite crumpled. It has been sitting in this cupboard down here for a while. I just kind of halted on it over winter because I just didn't feel motivated to knit it, because it is a lacy skirt which you're not going to really be wearing in winter unless you have a lot of tights and leggings on underneath, which I didn't really feel like I would want to wear it that way anyway. So now that the weather is about to turn, I feel myself sort of gravitating towards picking this back up again. It felt like it did go relatively quickly, so I think I need to just pick this one back up. I would say though that pure silk is not a good travelling yarn. This yarn got so knotted. It is still all knotted, and I think another thing that's been stopping me wanting to pick this back up is just how knotted it is, and I'm gonna have to unknot all of it. And I think it's holding, yeah, you have to hold 2 together, so that is part of the reason why it's just got all tangled, because I'm using 2 at a time, and yeah, it's just very tangled. So I'm gonna try and untangle this hopefully soon, so that I can pick it back up. I need to just put the needles back in and start knitting it again. I've kind of forgotten the repeat as well, so I'm gonna have to refigure that out as well, but I'm sure it'll come back to me. It looks very complicated, but actually once you get the hang of it, it's basically just doing increases and decreases in a certain pattern that makes, and yarn overs, and then that makes the lace pattern. I'm excited to pick this one back up again for spring. The other whip that I want to pick up again, and I'm sure you're a bit sick of me talking about this one, this is my Super Basic Tee by Oh What a Knit. I'm knitting this in Albertine by Durarum Natura in this amazing pinky beigey colour. And this is knit on 3mm needles, so this is going to be a long-term project. But I have started doing the increases for this one, but I really just want to pick it back up, and I know that as soon as it gets, stitch holder just fell off. I know that as it gets into the round, it's going to be so nice, because even though it's on small needles, something about the combination of the yarn weight and the needles, and it just feels so good to knit. I feel like usually a lot of the time with fingering or sort of smaller gauge projects, sometimes it can sort of hurt your hands, especially if it's, you know, plant-based yarns or something. But with this one, it just feels so good. So I think once I'm in the round, I'm just going to be flying through this. I mean, it's still going to take a long time because it's on 3mm needles. But I'm excited to pick this one up again. So that is something I'm definitely going to be doing this spring, and you can hold me to that because I just need to get going with it. And finally, my other plan of something that I keep talking about, you're probably sick of me talking about, is the Sweet Dream Sweater by Kylie Noel. And I'm going to be knitting that one very soon as well, hopefully. I think I'm going to start with a sleeve because I think that just feels less intimidating. The way that the pattern is constructed is bottom up, and I think the thought of starting a big bottom up sweater is kind of intimidating me. So someone actually commented on a previous video that I should just start with a sleeve, and that's what I'm going to do. I think it will also be nice to just see how the colour work is looking, see if I like the colour choices that I'm making, make sure that I'm okay with it, and you know, it's kind of a lower stakes thing of just knitting a sleeve. I also kind of like the idea of being able to travel around with a sleeve. I know that a lot of people don't like seaming and will usually stay away from patterns that are seamed, but I actually think there are some benefits of it. Obviously you can't really try it on as easily as you go, so I understand why people don't necessarily always love them, but the thought of just, you know, having a little sleeve that I can just work on. Maybe my goal is just to knit a sleeve this spring, not to knit the whole jumper. Maybe I do one sleeve in the spring, one sleeve in the summer, the body in the autumn, and then by the time it gets around to the winter, I'll have this jumper, because I don't think this jumper is going to be done anytime soon, and that's fine. I'm trying to get better at realizing the actual length of time that these projects are going to take me. I think when I first started, I was doing a lot of bigger needle projects and I was so into it. I didn't have too much else going on at that time, and so things were just flying by, it felt like. Whereas lately, I think as I've been doing more and more complex projects, specifically the wavelength cardigan, which is a lot of cabling, I've been realizing that I need to give myself more time to do these projects. So I think the Sweet Dream Sweater is going to be one of those that takes a little while, but that's fine, and I'm going to be okay with that, and maybe just have a sleeve done by spring. I think that is a good achievable goal. Oh, and then I just remembered one other thing, which is to finish my other petal drop sock, because I'm on second sock syndrome with that one. So that is one other final thing that I want to do, is finish that sock. But the fact that I even forgot to add it to this video probably tells you how high of a priority that is for me right now. I have the other sock sitting lovely on my swatchboard, so I need to actually finish it so that I can wear the pair of socks. I think I was super into socks and then sort of fallen off the sock wagon a little bit, but I want to get back on it. But we'll see whether I actually do. Thank you so much for watching. That was all of my spring knitting plans. I feel like kind of achievable, maybe, I don't know. I might still have given myself too much to do, but we will see. As always, it's nice to have quite a few different things going on. I feel like I need a bit of variety in what I'm knitting at all times, otherwise I do get a bit bored, so it's nice to have a little range of things. As always, let me know what you're knitting and what your plans are for spring. I'd love to hear it, and I will see you again for another video very soon. Bye!